Hi, I'm Tina. This is Auntie Tina's Antiques, and today we are going to talk about rhinestones by request. Rhinestones have a very long history. They have been found, or what we currently call rhinestones, all the way back to the Egyptian jewelry. The term rhinestone comes from stones that were found in the Rhine River in Europe. They were quartz stones. They had a lot of lead content to make them extra sparkly, and sometimes they were different colors. And like anything that becomes very prized and valuable, eventually the resources in the Rhine kind of were depleted. So people had to start making replacements. And you might think, well, why would people want replacements of these things? Well, back in the day, the aristocracy would travel with great chests full of all of their jewels. I just feel like I have to hold up some jewels, all my jewels. Oh, this one too, because it's really fancy. So they would travel with great chests when they would go to court to visit the kings and queens and stuff. And then when they would get to court, they would show off all of their fancy jewelry and everything. Well, pretty soon the highway robbers would come and figured this out, and they would start robbing the aristocracy on their way to court and steal their jewels from them. So it became important for the aristocracy and the upper class to have artificial or imitation jewels. They may have the real thing at home, but then they would commission somebody to make artificial versions of their real stuff. And this is where it became important to have the rhinestones and the fake jewelry. Hello, Luna. Anyway, so the rhinestones have different names. Sometimes they're called paste, and this comes from I've seen two different sources for the term paste. Paste being one, that they would paste these fake stones into the molds of that were similar to the originals, so that they would have pasted gems. Is one way that they would call it paste. The other way I've heard is that glass would be ground up and pasted into molds that had a metal background to make them more reflective. And that was also called paste. I've also heard them called diamante, and I've heard them called strass, because it kind of rhymes with glass, because it came from glass. And where that strass comes from is about 1775, 1775. George Ferdinand, or George, we're just going to say he's G.F. Strass, came up with the plan to put metal backing, like a thin layer of metal backing on the gemstones to make them more reflective. And as they would make them more reflective, we call that foiling. But at that time, the rhinestones, or the paste, were still very much, they were very time consuming and labor intensive. So they were still for the upper class and the wealthy people that could afford to have these fakes made, the paste made. And it wasn't a common, a lot of people didn't have them. Certainly not the middle class would have them. However, about 1891, does anybody else knows 1891 is like a really popular year for a lot of things? I think I talked about the McKinley Tariff Act, and a couple of different things happened about 1981. Well, in 1981, if I can say his name correctly, is Swarovski, invented a machine that cut glass and made it much simpler, and basically industrialized the whole concept of the rhinestone. So they became a lot more affordable, and a lot more people were able to get the rhinestones. And they became more popular in jewelry, especially in the costume jewelry and the fashion jewelry that was happening about that time. And then comes around 1956, it's another Swarovski, and his name was Mansfield. And he created the process to put an iridescent paint or an iridescent film over the crystal glass. And he made, I'm looking for a really good example, the Aurora Borealis. These are my absolute favorite examples. The Aurora Borealis have these iridescent glitter, and you'll get to see those a little bit closer in a second. Weiss was a famous producer of costume jewelry, and they were very popular with the Aurora Borealis. So he came up with the Aurora Borealis. Now, Coco Chanel is a well-known fashion designer from France. Yes, France. And she started making jewelry to go with her outfits that she was designing, and it became very popular in Europe. However, American women were still not quite into the costume jewelry with the gems. They were still into gold and silver, being that that was one of our main resources in our country. But shortly following the World War I and II, Ziegfeld Folly started doing a lot more with costumes, and he would design or commission jewelry to go with his costumes. And that's where Americans, a lot of people say that the term costume jewelry came from. But that's where it started gaining its popularity here in America. Now, rhinestones are still really popular, and you can still find some current samples of them, and they are used frequently in current jewelry and stuff. But it's really important to make sure that you take care of them well. I'm going to put some resources in the show notes down at the bottom of the video so that you can look and make sure that check out all the different ways of taking care of your jewelry. Now let's take a second and look at some of the examples I have of rhinestone jewelry a little bit closer. Pretty. And rhinestones were really very popular as far as costume jewelry because they were cheap to make and easy to make, and they added them to all sorts of different things. These faux pearl earrings, for example, here's some with Aurora Borealis, and this is a Leshner with DuPont lucite leaves. The Florenza earrings here have emeralds, or they may have been green rhinestones, but with Aurora Borealis. The Aurora Borealis was very popular. Weiss, which is a well-known, started using the Aurora Borealis. Also, these earrings are signed. They have the screws, and there's the signature on them. I don't know if I can get it. I've got them both upside down. That's figures. But they're your Weiss earrings, and they use the Aurora Borealis. It's a beautiful bracelet here. Also has some Aurora Borealis. It has some of the bigger ones. It has some littler ones, and it has these white clear rhinestones with the blue rhinestones. It's missing a couple of pieces, which you could replace with, I think there's shops on Etsy that sell stones that you can replace this with. They used them in necklaces, like this Kramer necklace here. You can see that some of the stones on here have some dark spots, and there's some cloudy ones and some spotty ones. And that comes from, if you're not really careful when you're taking care of your earrings, like these Coro earrings are great examples. If I was a collector of Coro earrings, I would not purchase these. Or if I did, I wouldn't purchase them for more than like $5. If I was a dealer and I wanted to resell them, I probably wouldn't even look twice at these. Because these particular Coro earrings, you can tell this has some black near the bottom. Well, some spots. Let's just say spots. Because what happens, it's reflecting the black background. The foil that's on the back is very easily damaged. My guess is somebody submerged these when they were cleaning them, and may not have even noticed it to begin with, but the foil gets damaged by the moisture, and it came off. Whether it's scrubbed off or what, it does come off, and then it leaves holes in the reflective surfaces that pick up whatever color's behind it. In this case, it happens to be black. I do still like these Aurora Borealis stones around them, so I wouldn't necessarily discard them because I'm not a collector of perfect pieces, and I'm also not a dealer. If this was an earring that I liked and I wanted to wear, I would get them anyway. This particular piece, I probably wouldn't, nobody except for someone like me would have a value for. This piece has been cleaned so much, you can see, I think that's probably glue residue, that somebody has scrubbed it so bad. Most of the stones have left. And those that are here, this one's cloudy, this one's got some spots. The back is rusted. This was pot metal, and it would have had a silver plating on it, kind of like that. But it's been worn off, and that's just an example of what happens if you don't take really good care of your pieces. If you submerge them, different things will happen, like the black spots here. I think it's this one. Maybe it's this one. You can see that sometimes they get, no, it's on this piece, rust. The rust will come about, and maybe this is that one. Yeah, this one has some rust there. This one has glue on the back. That's what its problem was. This one has some glue where they tried to glue some stones back and it squished out. And also, it's very common in older ones, is the probably when grandma or whoever was wearing them, they would lose these stones because that happens. And then they would glue them back, but this glue that they used to replace it probably was not the jeweler glue, and it yellowed. So maybe, let me just say this piece has got yellow in it. This piece does have some yellow in it. It has 2 yellow jelly bellies. This is a coral piece. This coral piece is an earring. It's signed. You can almost see it. But because there's only one earring, we only have the one. I don't know what happened to the other one, and it is missing one little stone. This would be a really good piece to repurpose, and I'll probably make it into a pin or maybe a necklace or something for my mom, because she likes to wear pins and necklaces. She's not much into the earring stuff. This is another piece. Whoop, there goes my shoe clip. We'll stick you back over there because you're pretty and shiny. Took me a little bit to figure this one out, but all of these stones are gone, including this one, just this one in the middle, and it had a lot of glue. I'm not sure what type of metal this particular piece would have been with, but it is not the same as the pin, because the pin is completely rusted out and the stuff still has some shine. This piece, oh, whoop, I forgot my little bee. This was a really popular theme, was the bugs and insects. Was very popular for a while. I like that one. That's cute. And I will tell you that this bee does sting. I don't know if you can see that needle. Yep, there it is. It stings. It stings me a lot. This is my learn lesson piece. This pretty little snowflake was given to me when I was a child by probably my great-grandmother. It may have been my great-aunt. And as a child, I wanted to clean it, so I got a bowl with some warm water and soap in it, and I scrubbed and scrubbed. And you can see the results. It's got some cloudy stones here. These stones you can see in the backs if you look carefully. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. They have black spots where the foil in the back, or the rhinestones, was messed up because of that. But worse was the scrubbing that happened on the back, because brilliant little Tina thought, oh, maybe it's gold, and I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed. It wasn't gold, it's brass. Was born blonde, just have to say that. And brass was the metal that a lot of companies used, especially during the wars, because a lot of other metal was being sent off to the war effort. They would have used a cheap metal, maybe not quite brass, but an alloy of it, and then they put silver backing on it to make it shiny and sparkly. Most of the time they would use stuff like this pot metal, more like this one. This is pot metal. It was cheaper and easier to make. It wasn't detracting from the war effort. Anyways, just remember, your jewelry is your jewelry. You should do what you like with it. Sometimes you may want to repurpose it, like this piece will be repurposed. It's probably part of a stick pin at one point, but it's broken off. So I'll probably put a chain through it, or make it into or maybe I'll add a pin to it, but I don't know. We'll do something with it. But if you like it, you wear it. And, you know, you don't all have to be collectors, and we don't all have to be vendors. So just as long as you enjoy your pieces, that's what's important. Next week, we're going to go back to some dishes, and I have some really interesting information I've learned about some, down the shirt. Some interesting information about dishes that come from one of our American resources. Until then, take care, have fun, bye.